Right now, while you are listening to this, there is a piece of software somewhere deciding whether a human being gets to talk to another human being about a job. And I'm not talking about a recruiter or a hiring manager or a piece of software. And before I tell you anything else about what I'm about to tell you, I need you to sit with that for a second because everything else in this episode is downstream of that one fact. Welcome to At What Point, the podcast where we dive into the real, raw, and rewarding journey of personal and professional growth. I'm Catherine, your host, here to guide you through mindset shifts, powerful aha moments, and the resilience it takes to thrive no matter what life throws your way. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, taking the leap into entrepreneurship, or just looking for that boost of motivation, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. Let me tell you about my client, Maya. Maya spent 11 years as an accountant at one of the largest international law firms in the world. She ran a team. She was good, like actually good, not just a resume good. And she got to a point where she didn't want a better version of the job she had. She wanted out of accounting entirely. She wanted to move into talent and development, and her case for that move was solid. She had been managing people, developing people for over a decade. So she started her job search and sent out 118 applications and got zero interviews. And the part that got me was that most of those 118 applications didn't even come back with a rejection, just silence. No, thanks, but no, nothing. Maya told me, and I wrote this down because I want to remember exactly how she said it. I started to think I'm not qualified for a different role. Maybe I waited too long, or maybe I need to have a certification of some sort. Perhaps I should stay where I am now. Friend, she took 118 silences and turned it all into a verdict about herself, her qualifications, her timing, her credentials. She never once said, maybe the system that read my resume doesn't work the way I think it works. And honestly, why will she? Nobody tells you that's even a possibility. But the truth is, there is a research now that explains a huge piece of this, and it's not what most people think. Stanford University, along with researchers from Chapman and Northeastern University, just published a study, first of its kind, where they got their hands on real data, not a simulation, actual hiring decisions. Here are the numbers over 4 million jobs applications, more than 3 million applicants across 156 employers in 11 different sectors. Every single one of those applications across all 156 companies was screened by the same vendor's algorithm, one company with a platform called Pymetrics. 156 employers who probably think they are running 156 separate independent hiring processes, and underneath is one gatekeeper making decisions the same way over and over for all of them. The researchers have a name for this. They call it algorithmic monoculture. It's like 156 different front doors, and behind every single one of them, the same bouncer. And this is why it matters more than it sounds like it should. The researchers found that people who applied to 4 different jobs at 4 different companies, companies that have nothing to do with each other, that think they are running totally separate hiring processes, get rejected from all 4 at a rate way higher than you had expected if those decisions were actually independent and made by a human. One model says no quietly, and that no follows you to the next company and the next one without you ever knowing it happened. Maya didn't apply to 4 jobs. She applied to 118. If something like this was working against her even half of the time, you will not see a pattern from the inside. You had just see what she saw. Silence over and over without nothing connecting one to the next. Maya is not being screened out because she's unqualified. She's being screened out, and I bet because her resume is reading the wrong AI dialect. 11 years of accounting and law firm doesn't share vocabulary with talent and development. The algorithm is not reading her experience, it's pattern matching words. It doesn't know that running a team of accountants for a decade is talent and development. It just knows the word accountant show up where the word trainer or coach was supposed to be. And that's enough to sort her out before a human ever opens the file. And a pivot, by definition, friend, is a mismatch between the words on your resume and the words in the job posting. But the system was never built to see that. It was built to match keywords at a scale. So the more unconventional and interesting your path is, the more invisible you become to it. So if you're still inside corporate, still sending out applications, still wondering why the silence, networking is not a nice extra anymore. It's not the thing you do if you have time left over after the real job search, which is how most of us were trained to think about it. For a lot of roles right now, a human relationship is the only door that bypasses the software entirely. If a person can walk your resume into a room or just tell someone, I know her, she's good, talk to her, that conversation never touches the algorithm at all. It skips the whole pipeline. That's not networking as nice to have career advice. That's networking as the actual workaround for a system that by design cannot read what you bring to a pivot. And the more your path looks like Maya's, the more that workaround matters. Now, let's say you already left. If you're a few years into building something of your own and you have been feeling stuck, it's the same structure wearing different outfit. One client who is 60% of your revenue, one referral partner who sends you most of your leads, maybe one platform, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is that decides whether people see your posts at all today. I'm sure none of those are people you had called a gatekeeper out loud. You had probably called them how my business works, but that's not a different problem from Maya's. That's the exact same problem, just dressed up as a business model instead of a job search. Your entire outcome sitting in the hands of one party you don't want control and can't see inside of. Maya's gatekeeper is a hiding algorithm she's never met. Yours might be an algorithm too, or it might be one person's inbox or one relationship that's been good to you for years until the day it isn't. Same structure underneath, same vulnerability, just a different face on it. The difference is that unlike Maya, you have the opportunity to do something before someone else makes the next decision for you. If you're still inside corporate, learn how the hiring process is changing. Build a stronger resume, build real relationships, give yourself every advantage if another corporate role is what you want. But if you have been thinking about building a business for months or maybe even years, don't ignore what this moment is trying to teach you. The safest career is not necessarily the one with the biggest company behind it anymore. The safest career is the one where you have options. That's why I believe every woman should have an exit strategy because she deserves more than one path for her future. Build it while you still have the income. Friend, build it while you still have the confidence, while you still have the choice. That is how you create freedom instead of waiting for circumstances to force it on you. So let me ask you, at what point do you stop waiting for another company to decide what your future looks like? At what point do you decide that everything you have spent years building inside corporate could become the foundation of something that's yours? And at what point do you stop preparing for your next job and start preparing for your next chapter? Friend, I will leave you with that this week because whether your next step is another corporate role or maybe building a business of your own, one thing is becoming very clear. The women who will have the most opportunities tomorrow are the ones who start creating those opportunities today. Before you go, if this episode resonated, you need to be on my email list. Every Wednesday, I send out marketing strategies, mindset shifts, and AI tips you can actually use. No fluff. Head to katherinebeltran.com/move, and I will see you in your inbox this Wednesday. Love the show? Hit subscribe. See you next time.